Imagine if immortality was no longer just a sci-fi fantasy, but a reality. No more worrying about aging or bad hair days. What if death was a thing of the past and we all just kept partying forever? Sure, it sounds like a dream, but before you sign up for eternity, let's face it, living forever might come with more baggage than a weekend getaway. The idea of eternal life has been tossed around in ancient myths and modern science, but what if it's not all sunshine and rainbows? Join me as we dive into the slightly terrifying, kind of hilarious, and possibly disastrous consequences of immortality. There's no escape. The growing population dilemma. The first and most obvious consequence of immortality is a rapidly growing population. With no one dying while new lives continue to be born, the world's population would quickly skyrocket. In fact, it would spiral out of control, leaving governments and societies scrambling for solutions. The global population is already projected to reach nearly 10 billion by 2050, and that's with death still being a reality. In a world where people never age or die, the pressure on resources would be unimaginable. Food production, water supplies, housing, and energy consumption would face immense strain. Our cities, already overcrowded, would transform into sprawling metropolises with limited living space, causing a rise in inequality and social unrest. The demand for food would increase drastically, potentially leading to widespread famine and shortages. With no natural life cycle, there would be no way for natural resources to replenish themselves quickly enough. The question is, how would society adapt? Would we continue to welcome new generations, or would some kind of regulation or control over births be enforced to avoid catastrophic consequences? This scenario raises difficult moral and ethical questions that society would need to grapple with. The environmental impact, deforestation, and extinction. As more and more people occupy the Earth, the pressure on the environment would intensify. To accommodate such a growing population, deforestation would increase dramatically, leading to the extinction of countless species. As trees are felled to create new homes, roads, and infrastructure, the delicate balance of ecosystems would collapse. Trees are not only essential for absorbing carbon dioxide and producing oxygen, but they also provide habitats for many of the world's species. In fact, deforestation is already responsible for nearly 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. With no one dying, the rate of deforestation would accelerate beyond what we've seen today, contributing to rising global temperatures and unpredictable weather patterns. The environmental stress wouldn't stop with trees. Wildlife would face the extinction of their natural habitats, pushing species to the brink of disappearance. Experts predict that about 1 million species are at risk of extinction due to human activity. With immortality, the damage to biodiversity would be far worse, as humans continue to dominate the planet without the natural cycle of death and rebirth. In this scenario, the loss of natural resources would become a serious issue, not just for humans, but for the entire planet. A strain on our memory capacity. Human beings have limited memory capacity. We struggle to remember what we did last week or what we had for breakfast today. Our memories aren't built to withstand centuries of accumulated knowledge and experience. Now, imagine the enormous strain on our brains if we lived forever. Our brains process and store memories, but they have finite resources. Neuroscientists have long debated the limits of the human brain's memory capacity. Studies suggest that the average human brain has the ability to store about 2.5 petabytes, 1 petabyte equal to 1 million gigabytes, of data, which is far more than we could possibly process in a single lifetime. But what happens when that information keeps growing, year after year, decade after decade? The brain would be forced to prioritize certain memories over others, leading to cognitive overload. Many of us struggle to remember what happened a year ago, let alone what we did 500 years ago. And what if you couldn't forget painful memories? Or what if your memory became a burden, overloaded with information that no one could manage? With immortality, the ability to remember would likely degrade, leaving us lost in a sea of unorganized memories, unable to recall vital moments from centuries of existence. Would the human mind be able to handle this constant onslaught of data, or would it eventually break under the pressure? Evolution, a future of change and isolation. Immortality might sound like a dream, but it could throw a serious wrench in human evolution. According to Darwin, species evolved to adapt to new challenges, but immortals would be left behind, stuck in a time loop. While the world changes, they'd stay the same. Imagine being the last person still rocking the fashion from 300 years ago. Over time, they'd feel like outdated relics, surrounded by humans who've evolved both physically and mentally. They might find themselves alienated, struggling to fit in with a future they don't recognize. Evolution doesn't stop, and immortals could end up as the odd ones out in a world that's moved on. Immortality could become a lifelong game of who's the weirdo now, a lonely existence where the past and future collide in the worst way. The harsh reality of immortality: pain, disease, and vulnerability. Immortality might seem like a dream, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Imagine living forever, but still dealing with the same risks we face now: accidents, injuries, and diseases. Every year, 185,000 people in the US alone lose limbs in accidents. Now, picture that happening to you, and you can't die to escape the pain. No matter how many medical breakthroughs we get, injuries might leave us trapped in a body that doesn't work as it once did. And let's not forget, the body doesn't stop aging just because we're immortal. Bones get brittle, muscles weaken, and organs start to fail. Immortality could quickly turn into a curse, where we're stuck in an endless cycle of pain and deterioration. So while living forever sounds nice, the reality might be a never-ending nightmare of suffering with no escape button in sight. Forever doesn't always mean forever happy. The real-life immortal, the case of the jellyfish. Before we get too far down the rabbit hole, let's take a moment to highlight a real-life example of biological immortality. The jellyfish Turritopsis dohrnii, also known as the immortal jellyfish, has the incredible ability to revert to its juvenile form through a process called transdifferentiation. Essentially, it can transform its cells and regenerate itself, thus avoiding death. While this is an amazing feat of nature, it's important to note that it's not a perfect form of immortality, it's just a fascinating biological anomaly. The jellyfish can go through this process repeatedly, effectively rejuvenating itself over and over. But this doesn't mean it's invincible. The jellyfish can still fall prey to predators or environmental factors that could lead to its demise. Still, its ability to escape death in a biological sense is remarkable. Scientists have studied this phenomenon, hoping to unlock some of the secrets behind the jellyfish's regenerative abilities, with the hope that it might one day be applied to humans. While we're nowhere near that level of biological mastery, the concept of immortality is certainly not outside the realm of possibility. Imagine a world where such abilities could be harnessed, where humans could regenerate and live forever. Would it be worth it? Or would the costs outweigh the benefits? The future of immortality. What lies ahead? So, what's the deal with immortality? Well, we've made huge leaps in living longer thanks to healthcare, tech, and safety. The idea of never dying comes with some pretty wild baggage. Overpopulation, environmental disaster, and brain overload could turn immortality into a never-ending mess. Sure, cool things like stem cell therapy, clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, and AI might help us live healthier longer, but at what cost? Imagine being stuck with memories of 1,000 years of awkward social encounters. Would eternal life actually bring us happiness, or just pile on more problems? Tech might fix some of the issues, but who's really ready for eternal existence? Maybe it's the shortness of life that gives it all the meaning we crave. After all, who wants to live forever, if forever is just one long Monday? If you've enjoyed this wild ride into the world of immortality, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more mind-bending content. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. You never know when we'll be talking about how to survive living forever. Until next time, stay curious, stay awesome, and remember, forever's a long time.